The Minnesota Vikings season is over before it began. You see, over this past weekend, week 1 of the NFL preseason kicked off, and we saw the entire rookie quarterback class play for their first time in the NFL, really get some experience under their feet, from Caleb Williams to Bo Nix, and it really felt like every QB was performing at the top of their game, and that includes 10th overall pick JJ McCarthy. You see, JJ McCarthy went up against the Las Vegas Raiders, and in the few drives he was given, he absolutely balled out. I mean, he threw 11 for 17, had 188 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and of course, 1 interception. But those 2 touchdowns were very important in getting a 1-point victory over the Las Vegas Raiders. You couldn't have asked for a better way to start your NFL career than with a solid Week 1 performance in the preseason. However, as good as that might sound, that was about it for JJ McCarthy, because only a few hours after his game against the Raiders, it was announced that he will undergo surgery to repair a torn right meniscus that he suffered in the game. And of course, Kevin O'Connell, head coach for the Minnesota Vikings, would come out and announce to everybody that the surgery was a success. However, McCarthy will miss the rest of the 2024 season, which means that his rookie year ends before it even got off the ground. And we'll talk more about JJ McCarthy, his future with the Vikings, and the Vikings' future looking at the rest of 2024 in a second. But for right now, I wanted to remind you guys to slow down, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and every subscription is greatly appreciated. All right, now let's get back to talking about JJ McCarthy. People believed he was nothing more than a handoff merchant. However, if all he could do was hand off the ball, he wouldn't have gotten into Michigan, and he wouldn't have started on this team for multiple years. Things really turned up for JJ McCarthy during his sophomore season in 2022. You see, Michigan as a program takes a step up. The team as a whole is beginning to improve. You see, now JJ McCarthy would play in 14 games, had about 208 completions on 322 attempts, meaning like a 64% completion percentage. That is great for JJ McCarthy. 2,700 passing yards and 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. If there's one thing JJ McCarthy is going to do, it's not turn this ball over, which he's been pretty good at in his time at Michigan. And that's all we really have to go off of, because we know how long he lasted on the Vikings before his season fell apart. And then, of course, we've got his junior season, the last year, the year Michigan was able to win it all and become national champions. And why were they national champions? Because JJ McCarthy did his job, and he did a damn good one. And if there's one thing you can say about JJ McCarthy, it's that he shows up in big games. He would experience a lot more big games in 2022. I mean, that was the first time he would be a starting quarterback against Ohio State. And in that Ohio State game, well, Michigan ended up handling the Buckeyes, 45-23. And what did JJ McCarthy do in the win? Well, he was a major contributor. I mean, we had JJ McCarthy throwing 12 completions, 263 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. 1/4 of JJ McCarthy's completions ended up in the end zone. That's how good he was for Michigan. And then, of course, you've got that Purdue game. I'm talking the Big Ten championship in 2022. Again, JJ McCarthy's the quarterback, and what does he do? Has another 3 touchdown game, this time 1 interception, but 161 passing yards. They don't win that game if JJ McCarthy isn't starting. Of course, that brings us to the playoff game, where they go up against TCU. And I know I have to mention it because that was probably JJ McCarthy's worst performance of his career, and a major reason as to why Michigan ended up getting upset in that game. He had 20 completions on 34 attempts and 2 vital interceptions. If JJ McCarthy had just played a little bit better, they would have came up on top against TCU. But of course, he used that failure against TCU to fuel him for 2023, which is exactly what happened and why he ended up having his career year, his junior season. I mean, out the gate in 2023, he had a phenomenal performance against East Carolina, 86% completion percentage, about 260 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then against the rival in Michigan State, he puts up 4 touchdowns against their supposed rival on 287 passing yards. It was all JJ McCarthy. And then, of course, that brings us to the big games against Ohio State, the Big Ten Championship, and the 2 playoff games. The big Michigan versus Ohio State game in 2023 was an absolute nail-biter, with Michigan grabbing an early lead thanks to a 22-yard touchdown pass from JJ McCarthy to Roman Wilson. And then, of course, while JJ McCarthy didn't look his best throughout the rest of the game, he did get the team into field goal range multiple times in the second half and was a big reason as to why they won. That would bring us to the Big Ten Championship, where Michigan would try to win their 3rd one in the last 3 years. And it was against an Iowa team who was known for having a great defense, however, a terrible offense that couldn't produce. And can you guess what happened? Michigan 26-0'd them. And of course, JJ McCarthy wasn't needed in this game because, let's be honest, Iowa wasn't going to score anyway. Which would bring us to the Rose Bowl against Alabama, one of JJ McCarthy's biggest games of his entire career so far. And, it started off with a Bama touchdown. However, Michigan would answer back with 2 of their own, thanks to JJ McCarthy throwing an 8-yard pass to Blake Corum and a 38-yard pass to Tyler Morris. And then, of course, the game would end with 2 Michigan touchdowns, another touchdown pass from JJ McCarthy, and then Blake Corum running it in to seal the victory, 20-27, which led to the national championship game against none other than Washington. And it wasn't really close because it was all Michigan. It felt like Washington could barely do anything offensively. Meanwhile, Michigan was scoring drive after drive after drive. And that's about it for JJ McCarthy's collegiate career. Those were a great last 2 years for JJ McCarthy, and of course, that's why he had high expectations going into the NFL. That is why the Vikings drafted him with the 10th overall pick. We'll see if he's able to exceed those expectations in 2025 because he ain't playing this season. As for the Vikings, well, they're kind of screwed because now they have to rely on a not so great Sam Darnold to carry them through 2025 as the rest of their division looks better and better. I mean, we had the Detroit Lions going to the NFC Championship game last year, and they're only going to improve off of that. Of course, the Green Bay Packers look amazing with Jordan Love. Jordan Love started his first full season last year, and what did he do? He took the team into the playoffs and got a bit of a deep run. I mean, he manhandled the Cowboys last year. And then you've got the Chicago Bears, who have a totally new look for themselves. I mean, now you've got a rookie in Caleb Williams. You got the addition of Keenan Allen on one side, who is a fantastic receiver, was amazing on the Chargers, and the addition of Rome Odunze from college. So you got Rome, you got Caleb, you got Keenan Allen, and hell, you got DeAndre Swift for the Bears. A whole new look offensively. They're going to be better. As for the Vikings, well, now that they've lost JJ McCarthy, you might be looking at the new worst team in the NFC North. But anyway, that's about it for this video. I think I've covered everything I wanted to. Catch y'all later. Much love. Deuces.